Knock knock. I'm holding a mug of lukewarm coffee in one hand, a Glock in the other, and I'm not wearing pants. That's the situation. The knock isn't casual. It's too sharp, too deliberate. It's 2:17 a.m. The dead zone when only raccoons, killers, and regrets are awake. I haven't had visitors in 6 months, let alone ones knocking on my cabin door in the middle of a snowstorm. You learn not to ignore those sounds when you've spent your life hunting predators in uniform. And now, in what was supposed to be a peaceful corner of the Vermont wilderness, someone just signed up for a very bad night. The knock came again. Same rhythm. This time it was followed by a voice. Vermont State Police. Ma'am, sorry to bother you this late. There's been a situation up the road. You mind opening up for a moment? There it was. That sweet, polite, scripted tone, the one they teach you at the academy when you're being trained how to calm people down before you cuff them. But here's the thing. I am the Vermont State Police. Or was until a week ago when I turned in my badge, a bag of other people's secrets, and a resignation letter that read more like a death threat to the higher-ups. Forced leave, they called it. For your safety, they said, which was rich considering I've survived shootouts, backstabbing commissioners, and one ex-husband with a grudge and a podcast. I moved to the door, glanced at the video feed on the dusty tablet mounted near the pantry. One man, early 30s, crisp uniform, but the badge was wrong. Wrong font, wrong shine, too new. Also, nobody out here calls themselves Vermont State Police. We're just VSSB. Strike 1. His posture was tight, like he was bracing for something. Strike 2. And most importantly, I didn't recognize him. Strike 3. I opened the drawer, slid the safety off the Glock, and took a long sip of coffee. When I cracked the door just an inch, the cold slapped me like it owed me money. The man smiled. Teeth too straight like they'd been paid for in cash. Evening, ma'am, he said. Sorry again. There's a fugitive reportedly hiding somewhere in this area. May have broken into a nearby cabin. We're checking each one for safety. Fugitive? I said. Well, that's a new one. You got a name. He paused. Only a millisecond. But I saw it. The tiny hesitation that meant he wasn't expecting questions. We don't want to cause panic, he said. Could be nothing, just protocol. Sure, I replied, my smile returning the favor. Let me get my pants. I shut the door. Didn't lock it. Let him stew. I circled back to the tablet and zoomed in on the vehicle parked 20 feet down the snow-packed driveway. Unmarked. Black SUV. Government plates missing, but there was movement in the back seat. Someone ducked fast, a passenger, or maybe a hostage. I put on jeans, my boots, and tucked the Glock into the back of my waistband, grabbed the second weapon, an old but loyal taser that still smelled like singed deer hide from last hunting season, and strolled back to the door. When I opened it fully, he was still standing there, but the smile had started to fade. You got ID? I asked. Of course. He pulled out a badge wallet, held it up just long enough for me to see the glint, but not the number. Badge number? I asked. Excuse me? Your badge number? You know protocol. I let that word hang like a guillotine. Now the smile was gone. Ma'am, I really need to check your cabin. Do you now? That's when the switch flipped. His face hardened and the pleasant voice dropped the act like a hot skillet. You really want to do this the hard way? I grinned. I thought we were already doing it the dumb way. Hard's just a bonus. His hand moved toward his hip. I was faster. I didn't draw the Glock. Not yet. I just tapped the butt of it through my sweater. A suggestion. You're not VSSB, I said. Wrong badge. Wrong tone. Wrong damn boots. You know how I know? Because I trained every real trooper within 100 miles of this place. And none of them would show up at 2 a.m. in designer boots and a patch stitched on backward. He didn't speak, didn't blink. So here's what's going to happen, I continued. You're going to tell me who you're with, and I might let you keep all your teeth. The silence between us was thick enough to chew. Then he chuckled. Just once. Low and slow like it bubbled up from something ugly. Good, he said. This will be fun. He turned and walked back toward his vehicle. No threats, no hurry. Like he just sized me up and wasn't worried in the slightest. That irritated me more than anything. I shut the door and went straight to the panic panel. I hadn't used the cabin's defense systems in years, but every trap was still wired. My dad built this place during the Cold War, his version of a retirement project. A cabin wrapped in nostalgia and paranoia. Reinforced steel doors, hidden cameras, motion sensors, a few unconventional modifications involving bear traps, and compressed air canisters. I flipped the cabin into lockdown. The windows sealed with metal shutters. The chimney dampers clamped. The old landline was cut years ago. No cells serviced this high up. I was officially on my own. A rustle near the woods caught my eye through the side cam. Another figure, darker, moving fast toward the rear. A second man. I hadn't even heard him. He ducked behind the generator shed. They weren't here by accident. And they weren't after me. Not directly. I backed away from the monitor and crept toward the rear window, angling to catch a better look at the shed. Snow flurried around the structure in ghostly swirls, but I could make out a shadow low, hunched, moving carefully. This one knew what he was doing. No noise. No wasted movement. A professional. I tightened my grip on the taser and took a breath through my nose. Calm. Steady. Instead of engaging directly, I headed to the crawlspace hatch in the hallway closet. If he was circling the shed, he was likely looking for a rear access point. I had one hidden and rarely used, but it would lead him right into a pressure-triggered net snare if he didn't know better. I wanted to see if he did. Sure enough, a minute later, a faint creak came from beneath the rear steps. I flipped on the interior motion sensor quietly and waited. A blink. Then two. A figure crawled in slow, deliberate. I let him inch forward until he hit the trip pad. The trap deployed with a whir and a metallic snap, and within seconds, the man was hanging upside down like a confused deer. I stormed out the back door with the taser ready and flashlight blinding him. Well, I said dryly, looks like someone failed their survival badge course. He grunted, reaching for a blade at his thigh. I fired the taser before he could touch it. His body convulsed, then went limp. I approached and yanked off his ski mask. Late 30s, military cut. Scar under the eye. Definitely not a local. You boys really should have done your homework, I muttered, dragging him inside. I zip-tied his wrists and ankles, dumped him by the fireplace, and made sure he was breathing. This was escalating fast. Before I could catch my breath, another knock. Not at the front this time. Side door. A different voice. Ma'am. Sorry again, just routine patrol. Forest Ranger Service. We had reports of trespassers nearby. My heart thudded. Forest Rangers didn't do door checks at 2:30 a.m. in blizzard conditions. I stayed silent, slipped back to the monitor, and zoomed in on the man outside. Clipboard. Friendly smile. And a badge that might have fooled someone who didn't train most of the force. This was gonna get worse before it got better.